Once man trusted her for 6 long years. Yes, it's me. I truly believed we had built a real family together. All that time, she was secretly plotting a divorce, hunting for an apartment with another man, and scheming to strip me of everything: the house, the money, the car. But she slipped up in ways she never saw coming. I'd uncovered it all long before and stayed one step ahead, turning the tables in a way that saved me. For her, it struck like a devastating thunderbolt. For me, it was nothing short of deliverance, a chance to reclaim my life. Before we dive deeper into this heart-wrenching tale, hit that subscribe button on the channel if you haven't already. That way, you'll never miss out on these raw, real stories that hit close to home. Drop a like if you're hooked, and let me know in the comments, where are you tuning in from today? Your support fuels the fire and inspires me to bring more of these gripping narratives to life. All right, let's pull back the curtain and begin. We shared 6 beautiful years together, 4 of them sealed in marriage. I always felt like the luckiest man alive, like I'd won the lottery of love. She was sharp as a tack, incredibly compassionate, and blessed with a sense of humor that could light up the darkest days. We were more than just a couple. We were a true team, unbreakable in our bond. We'd lose ourselves in laughter for hours over the silliest things, spar passionately about our favorite movies, and whisper dreams of the future under the stars. It felt unbreakable, like nothing in the world could tear down the life we'd so carefully constructed. She'd surprise me with intimate romantic evenings, and I'd welcome her home with her favorite home-cooked meal after an exhausting day at work. Everything flowed so naturally, so simply, like it was meant to be forever. But in the last few months, a shadow crept in, as if someone had quietly dimmed the lights on our happiness. It began with the smallest shifts, almost imperceptible at first. Her phone, which used to lie forgotten on the table, now seemed glued to her hand, even while she stirred pots in the kitchen. Out of nowhere, a password locked it tight, one that had never existed before. I tried to laugh it off, teasing her with, "On some secret mission these days?" She'd chuckle lightly, blaming it on a mountain of work. It sounded plausible enough, so I let it slide. Who hasn't been buried under deadlines? Then the phone call started changing. She used to chat openly right in front of me, no secrets. But suddenly, it'd be, "Sorry, this is urgent," and she'd slip away to the street or lock herself in the bedroom. Who was on the line? Just a colleague. She'd brush off casually, steering the conversation elsewhere before I could dig deeper. Still, the signs piled up, subtle but impossible to ignore. Whenever I drew near, her phone would flip face down in an instant, like a reflex she couldn't control. Even something as innocent as handing her a warm cup of tea triggered this quiet alarm in her demeanor. Our conversations, once so vibrant and full of life, turned flat and distant. It was like I was speaking to a stranger wearing her face, not the woman I'd fallen so deeply in love with. Desperate to reignite the spark, I'd suggest romantic getaways for our anniversary or finally splurging on that new car we talked about. Her responses? A half-hearted, "Let's think about it," followed by a swift pivot to mundane topics like the weather. I convinced myself it was just fatigue, work pressures, the changing seasons, everyday stress weighing her down. But deep inside, a knot of anxiety twisted tighter with each passing day. Then came the moment that shattered my illusions completely, knocking the wind out of me like a punch to the gut. She mentioned heading out for coffee with a friend after work, nothing out of the ordinary. I wouldn't normally intrude, but fate had me nearby for a meeting, and I thought it'd be sweet to surprise her, sneak up for a hug, treat her to pastry. What a charming idea, right? But there she was, standing alone, her supposed friend nowhere in sight. Phone pressed to her ear. She paced anxiously back and forth. I stayed hidden in the car, not wanting to interrupt, and caught fragments of her hushed words. "Everything's almost ready. We'll wipe the slate clean and start fresh." My blood ran cold. I didn't reveal myself. Instead, I drove home ahead of her, my mind racing with questions. When she finally walked through the door, I kept my voice steady. "How was the cafe? How's your friend holding up?" She launched into a detailed story, painting a vivid picture of her pal complaining about a boyfriend who just didn't get it. The details flowed so effortlessly, but all I could hear echoing in my head were those overheard whispers. A couple of days later, she dropped another casual bomb. Hey, how do you organize your documents? Bank statements, passwords, insurance papers. Maybe we should gather them all in one spot, just in case. A wave of unease washed over me. We'd never talked about just-in-case scenarios before. Our life had been carefree. Now, this sudden urgency? What kind of just-in-case? I pressed gently. She shrugged it off with a smile. You know, life happens. It's just practical for quick access if something comes up. Her logic was sound on the surface, but beneath it lurked something rehearsed, too polished to be genuine. I nodded along, pretending to consider it, but inside, a piece of me fractured. Why this timing? Why the abrupt fixation on our finances? That night, sleep was a distant stranger. Her words spun in endless loops, the secretive phone habits, the cafe conversation. Something dark was simmering, building toward a climax I couldn't yet see. Was it all in my head, my paranoia, amplifying nothing? Or was I spot on, and the woman I loved was hiding a devastating truth? The turmoil boiled within me. I searched desperately for innocent explanations. Overwork, perhaps depression, or even something I'd done wrong. But my instinct screamed otherwise. This wasn't mere stress. It was meticulous preparation for the end. A few days later, she circled back to the finances topic with casual persistence. We were in the kitchen. I was slicing bread while she scrolled absent-mindedly on her phone. Suddenly, as if it were the most ordinary thing, but seriously, do you even know where all our passwords and documents are? We should really compile them into one folder. You never know what tomorrow brings. I set the knife down and met her eyes. What do you mean by you never know? Is something wrong? A brief hesitation flickered across her face before she recovered smoothly. Life's full of surprises, that's all. But we hadn't dwelled on such practicalities before. Our finances were mostly separate, our life uncomplicated. Now that these suggestions felt like harbingers of something far more serious, though she wouldn't admit it. I stayed silent on the surface, but inwardly, my senses sharpened into full alert mode. The next morning, with her off to work, I fired up the laptop and delved into our joint bank account. At first, everything looked normal. Then I spotted the irregularities, small, consistent transactions slipping through. Not major sums, nothing blatantly illegal, but steady drips, uncategorized, unexplained. She was siphoning funds gradually, carefully, as if testing the waters to see if I'd notice. Digging into older statements confirmed it. This pattern had emerged just weeks ago, right as the changes began. A cold dread settled in my chest. Confrontation seemed inevitable, but what if I was wrong? It could destroy us irreparably. If right, I needed to tread wisely. I reached out to an old college friend who'd become a trusted lawyer. He knew us both, but stood firmly in my corner. I laid out the facts plainly, no hysterics, just the cold truth. His response was measured but urgent. You're not being paranoid. Protect yourself now. It's wiser to be cautious than left with nothing. He mapped out a precise strategy. Quiet, legal ways to safeguard my assets, transfers, powers of attorney, fortified accounts. I absorbed it all, jotting notes like my future depended on it, which it did. The very thought twisted my gut with unease. Divorce wasn't even on my mind. I just wanted answers, resolution. But I couldn't ignore the evidence anymore. She was gearing up for something big. That evening, I sat nursing a cup of tea, staring into the void of an empty wall. Memories flooded in like a bittersweet tide. Her infectious laughter, the way she'd call me my love, our late-night whispers about the dreams we'd chased together. Yet they clashed violently with the recent shadows, the cafe intrigue, the evasive calls, the growing veil of secrecy. My heart ached with the pain of it all, but my mind whispered fiercely, shield yourself now before it's too late. By morning, resolve hardened. I opened the laptop, pulled out the documents, and began the process. Each step felt like a betrayal of our vows. But I knew deep down that if I didn't act, she'd beat me to it, and then regret would be my only companion. She came home late that night, her demeanor as normal as ever. "Want to watch a movie together?" she asked sweetly. I nodded, forcing a smile, hiding the storm raging inside. Outwardly calm, inwardly coiled like a spring. I couldn't let her suspect a thing. She had to believe her plan was unfolding perfectly. The following day, I met with my mom. Keeping explanations minimal, I simply said, "I need to transfer some things into your name for now." She didn't pry, though I could see the questions burning in her eyes. "It's temporary," I reassured her, "just a precaution." I followed the lawyer's blueprint to the letter. Powers of attorney, rights transfers, assets locked into a secure trust. It was complex, emotionally excruciating, but I felt a quiet certainty. This was a right path. The house we'd bought together, now legally under my mother's name. Savings shifted to a new, untouchable account. Investments placed beyond reach. I left just enough in our joint pool for everyday needs, avoiding any suspicion. As I navigated these shadows at home, she oddly ramped up the affection, cooking my favorite dinners, sharing more laughs and hugs than usual, even floating ideas for a dream vacation. It all felt so contrived, stirring fresh anxiety, like she was lulling me into complacency or subtly testing if I'd caught on. What struck me most? The finance questions vanished entirely. No hints, no prods, as if that nagging concern had dissolved into thin air. It only fueled my doubts. She must have sensed my vigilance and chosen to play the waiting game. I started noticing the finer details. Those lingering glances when she thought I wasn't looking, appraising and calculated, as if measuring my comfort level. But catch her eye, and she'd dart away, to her phone, a tablet, or a book. It was a silent, chilling game of cat and mouse, and I was fully entangled. I reviewed the documents obsessively. Every signature, date, notary stamp, flawless, unassailable. Even if discovered, contesting it would be futile. I looped back with the lawyer, double-checking every detail. Addresses, numbers, copies. "Are you prepared?" he asked gravely. "Let her make her play now." 2 weeks dragged on in eerie silence. No arguments, no peculiar questions, just a veneer of domestic bliss that felt artificially sweet. On the surface, it was picture perfect. Beneath, a brewing tempest, the calm before utter chaos. Then, one fateful evening, she switched off the TV, settled beside me, and said with eerie composure, as if requesting a simple cup of tea, "We need to talk, seriously." My stomach nodded, but I merely nodded, bracing for impact. "I've given a lot of thought," she began, her voice devoid of emotion, "and we should get a divorce." It landed cold, like a corporate memo. I stayed quiet as she continued, "I need space. I've lost myself in this. I want to start over fresh." The words were textbook cliches, delivered without meeting my gaze, explanations vague and hollow. Then she added, "I've sacrificed so much for you, and I'm not sure you truly appreciate it. I deserve more better." In that instant, the puzzle completed itself. This wasn't about fated love. It was a calculated grab for compensation. She wasn't just walking away. She saw my hard-earned world as her rightful prize. I didn't beg or erupt. Instead, I asked calmly, "So what's your plan from here?" Tension rippled through her. She'd clearly expected hysterics. "Please." My composure unnerved her, but I held firm, knowing my assets were already safely shielded. Come Monday, the official papers arrived. The divorce petition, loaded with asset lists, bold claims, and precise calculations. Reading it, I nearly let out a bitter laugh, not from joy, but the sheer absurdity. She demanded half the house, all my savings, the car in my name, and ongoing spousal support that stretched indefinitely. This, despite her thriving career, steady paycheck, and her own hidden savings. It screamed premeditation, a frigid, well-orchestrated scheme with clear outside influence. My lawyer pored over it and shook his head in disbelief. "They're swinging for the fences, betting you'll cave." But folding wasn't an option. I needed to unmask the puppet master pulling her strings, the force driving her into this battle for what wasn't hers. This didn't align with the woman I'd known and loved. It reeked of someone else's manipulative script. I began with her social media, still accessible, perhaps in her overconfidence. The feed was innocuous. Photos, stories, scattered likes. But one name kept surfacing in comments. Derek. Nothing overt, but his interactions, likes, encouraging notes like "you've got this," felt intimately personal. His profile? Open book. Marketing professional, generic posts. The kicker? A update time-stamped to the exact day and location of my cafe sighting. Mere coincidence? Hardly. I delved deeper. Among shared friends was Megan, someone I'd rarely spoken to but knew as her close confidant. I approached delicately, no pressure. "I'm just trying to make sense of things." Her initial reply was clipped. "I'm not involved. I don't get in the middle of this." But then, a surprising follow-up call. "I hate interfering, but you deserve to know the truth." She's been seeing Derek for a while now. They connected at work. He filled her head with ideas that she deserved better, then became her go-to advisor on the divorce. My heart plummeted into an abyss, yet it wasn't shock. It was confirmation. The pieces snapped together. This wasn't marital drift. It was replacement. While I fought to salvage us, they conspired to dismantle my world, financially, legally, emotionally. I thanked Megan profusely and swore to keep her name out of it. That Saturday, I staked out her new place from a discreet spot in the neighborhood. An hour ticked by before they emerged together, Derek by her side. No overt affection, but their proximity spoke volumes. Walking in sync, whispering conspiratorially, sharing easy, confident laughs as if the world was theirs for the taking. She radiated unshakable certainty, convinced her calculations were flawless. From my car, the truth hit hard. This was no impulsive betrayal, but a meticulously mapped path of deception. What she didn't know, a dead-end ambush loomed just ahead. I walked into the first lawyer meeting with unshakable calm. Not indifference, but readiness. While she and her self-appointed ally Derek had been drafting their assault, I'd fortified my defenses brick by brick. In the conference room, she sat composed in a light suit. Across from her, her arrogant attorney brandished a thick folder, reciting demands with brazen confidence. Half the house, the car, savings, and alimony structured like a lifetime obligation. It was all laid out officially, audaciously, as if victory was assured. I sat in silence, biding my time. When my lawyer's turn came, he produced a slender file with quiet authority. Before proceeding, he stated evenly, the party should review these documents. He slid them across. Her attorney leafed through, indifferent at first, then frantic, irritation etching his features. "What the hell is this?" he demanded, glancing between us. "Verification of lawful asset transfers to a third party, predating the filing," my lawyer replied coolly. "All prearranged, fully notarized. No basis for challenge." She snatched the folder, eyes scanning rapidly. A heavy pause hung in the air. Then, a hushed whisper, "You knew everything. You did this on purpose." I offered no words, just a steady gaze. Her confident facade crumbled. She paled, a storm of anger, shock, and fear swirling across her face. "This is fraud," she snapped. "You stole what was ours." "Ours?" I countered calmly. "You declared us over." "I simply divided things ahead of time. Fairly, wouldn't you say?" Her side went mute, the anticipated easy triumph slamming into an impenetrable wall. In the hallway afterward, she cornered me. "You had no right. I expected an honest divorce." A wry smirk escaped me. "Honest? And what about Derek? Is he championing honesty too?" She froze for a heartbeat, then spun away without a word. The aftermath unleashed a torrent. No gentle calls. It was an onslaught. Texts, emails, voicemails flooding in. At first, pleading softly, "We've made this so complicated. Let's just talk." Then escalating to hysteria, "You betrayed me. You've destroyed everything we built." I held my ground in silence. My lawyer had forbidden direct contact, and truthfully, I had no desire. This flood of emotion no longer felt like lost love. It was the raw agony of defeat, her grand plan in ruins, the harsh truth laid bare for all to see. Desperate, she pivoted tactics, spinning yarns to our mutual friends. The divorce was merely a test of our bond, a quest for deeper truth. Some bought the lie initially, but it frayed quickly. Weeks later, a message from Tyler, a loose acquaintance from our social circles. "I've got something you need to see." We met, and he pulled up his phone. Screenshots of threads between Derek and her, an entire damning conversation. My fists clenched as I read. "Once we wrap this up, we'll start fresh," she typed. "Stand firm. He'll cave and give it all. You deserve every bit," he urged. "Soon, it'll all be ours," he added chillingly. This wasn't a fleeting mistake or heated impulse. It was a calculated symphony of deceit, with me cast as the unwitting victim, a mere resource to plunder. Tyler sighed, acknowledging the underhanded nature, but explained, "I figured you should uncover it yourself." I thanked him and stepped out into the fresh air, my mind not clouded by pain or resentment, but cleared by stark clarity. She'd lost because she danced to someone else's tune, arrogantly assuming no one would outsmart her. Those messages sealed the narrative. This wasn't a simple split. It was an orchestrated takeover, masterminded with ice-cold precision. Her fatal oversight? Underestimating that I might just be the sharper player. The screenshots spread like wildfire through our shared networks, cautiously at first, then uncontrollably. Her fabricated tale of just being confused unraveled spectacularly. Sympathizers turned away. Those who'd pitted her a week prior fell silent. Comments vanished, numbers got blocked. Even her own brother reached out. "I'm so sorry. I didn't realize she was capable of this. I bought her victim story hook, line, and sinker. Turns out, she engineered the whole thing." No excuses from him, just raw shame. It didn't faze me. Grudges felt pointless now. I was simply exhausted from the weight of it all. By the time the official court hearing rolled around, the outcome was a foregone conclusion. Nothing left to divide. Everything had been secured beforehand, all above board and ironclad under the law. Her lawyer didn't bother mounting a defense. He withdrew the claims with quiet resignation, as if accepting the battle's inevitable loss. And Derek? He vanished into thin air, first from social media, then from existence. Word from acquaintances. He'd abruptly quit his job and gone ghost. No more calls, no meetings, no lingering support, just poof. Clearly, he'd banked on a windfall. When the money and prospects evaporated, he ditched her like a failed investment, cold and final. Now, she stood utterly alone, stripped of assets, allies, and her carefully crafted facade. Every dream she'd pinned on this scheme lay in ruins. As for me, I began piecing my life back together, one tentative step at a time. The house's silence felt eerie at first, a strange void without the constant undercurrent of suspicion. No more bracing for hidden twists behind every smile. But gradually, with each new dawn, breathing came easier, lighter. My mom was my rock through it. She'd show up with a jar of homemade jam and declare, "All right, time to repaint these walls. We need a fresh start in here." We'd share laughs, roll up our sleeves, splash on new colors, and replant the garden flowers. Slowly, I rebuilt my world, free from fear, devoid of distrust, released from that relentless tension of anticipating the next blow. And now, I have my home, my peace, and above all, an unshakable confidence in my ability to protect myself. Not through scandals or vengeful strikes, but with wisdom, a level head, and unwavering faith in my own strength. She became a closed chapter in my story. Complicated, bitter, yet profoundly important, teaching lessons I'll carry forever. Moving forward, it's all about me, my life, my choices, no more illusions or masks. If you've stayed with me through to the end, this tale must have resonated deep within you, stirring something real. Give it a like if you believe no one should ever let themselves be used like that. Subscribe to the channel for more of these spine-tingling, true-to-life stories that keep you on the edge of your seat. And drop a comment below. Would you have spotted the betrayal early on, or trusted blindly until the very end. Thank you for sharing this journey with me. See you in the next video. Stay vigilant out there.